Welcome to Q&A Selling Online, with answers to questions about creating an online empire, promoting products, or building a brand. Your host, private label and e-commerce entrepreneur, Quinn Amorm.
Welcome back, my friends. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have Miha Matlievski. The story goes like this. Back in 2009, this multimillionaire lost more money than some people make in a lifetime. He lost around $20 million in about, I think it was a span of a week time in 2009 during the crash.
One day.
In one day. Okay, that's like me going to the casino losing a couple $100. Miha, what's going on?
Hey, Quinn. Well, all good. How's everything on your end?
Oh man, life is fantastic. Things are going very well, and it's 2020, so it's going to be the best year ever for at least for me. Right? I can't talk for everybody else, but I think it's going to be fantastic.
Perfect. And yeah, I see that your podcast is growing and growing and growing. I'm a little sorry that I was just, I wasn't the most listened episode in 2019 as well.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, it's an honor that, out of all the amazing guests that you had and all the great shows that you did, people really listened and liked, my episode back in, I think it was episode 3 or episode 4 on your podcast.
Yeah, something like that. If I'm not mistaken, it was 8. But anyway, we can double check that, and I'll do that as we're talking, so everybody can go back and check in case they want. It's right on the main page of failfastpodcast.com, and it is episode number 4. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
Well, I think you were one of my first podcast interviews that I ever did. So, in Europe, they say you never forget the first one. I think you were my first interview.
There you go. So I feel honored. And for those of you that are listening to Miha's story for the first time, you can go back and check it out or an episode before. The short story of it is Miha owned a few energy companies, and then during the crash in 2009, he lost about $20 million, although he only had $16 million in the bank, so he was -4, and Miha actually was going to kill himself, and faith didn't allow him to do so. Well, thank goodness, because he's here today to talk to us. And after he came back and solved his problems, Miha now is completely debt-free. He paid back those $4 million. He made a few more, and now he helps people, overcome their fears and their failures, and knowing that failing is just part of life. And if you're not failing enough, means you're not going far enough. Is that correct?
Exactly. I really, what I do is I help people establish healthy relationship with failure, embrace failure, because in reality, if you're an entrepreneur, by default, by definition, we entrepreneurs, we have these crazy goals, crazy visions, crazy missions that we want to achieve. We all want to change the world. That's why we are entrepreneurs. And so if you want to come even close to that, you have to push yourself so hard out of the comfort zone that it hurts. And when you're out of the comfort zone, of course, it's much more likely that things that you're doing for the first time will not succeed. And so it's very, very important that you have healthy relationship when those mishaps or fails or however you want to call them happen, so that the emotions, the negative emotions and the negative self-talk doesn't get you down and in that negative roller coaster, because that won't help you. So having a good, positive, healthy relationship helps you to learn from the mistake or from mishap or from failure, grow and push forward. And the better you are at that, the sooner you will achieve success.
Yeah. And you got somebody told me once that it was a comparison between a kid riding a bike and getting up every time they fall to ride the bike again. And they don't consider that a failure, right? They could just keep going because they want to learn how to ride a bike. And if they had considered it a failure, given up, no kid would ride a bike today. They would all give up. So in business, that's what it is. We fall, right? Because doing things for the first time, we're humans, and all humans have flaws, and we fail. So don't you get up on that bike, and unless you have a broken leg, you can still pedal. And right, even if you do break something, I mean, in business, being some like you, what happened to you is considered breaking probably both legs in business. And you got up and you kept going, and that's what failure is about. It makes you stronger. Failure makes you stronger.
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And the thing is, I mean, now I understand that, if you lay down solid foundations in your business, if you're an entrepreneur, you can minimize the effect of failing. Because, if you have strong processes in place, if you measure those processes, you have KPIs, you are benchmarking those KPIs, and you have a good business intelligence solution on top of that, so that you can quickly see the dashboards and so on, you can quickly see patterns. Most of the time, I see entrepreneurs, they don't have any system in place. And that's a huge problem, because they are acting on I think and I feel. And there's very little I feel and I think in the business. You got to know. And so the better your foundation, the more you have, numbers and KPIs and all of that in place, and you can quickly check. You can quickly see when something's not working, and so you can mitigate that risk and react sooner, so that the failure is less of a failure. And so maybe you just drop a little, and you can already react to whatever's happened.
So Miha, what have you been up to now since we last spoke? I mean, we didn't last speak in 2018. That was the time that we recorded the interview. Since then, we spoke several times. So for the audience, tell us, what have you been doing since you have your own businesses, and where are you now? You traveling back and forth around the world? Or are you just at home, or what are you doing?
Well, I don't travel as much as I would want, and there is a reason behind it. I think you probably understand that I'm a huge volunteer when it comes to saving animals. And since we last spoke, I adopted 2 more dogs. So now I have 4 dogs. And it's really hard here in Eastern Europe to find good dog sitters. And I'm the craziest mom when it comes to my doggies, like how I spoil them and how I take care of them. So it's even harder for me to find somebody I can really trust. And because of that, I don't travel that much. I love traveling. And back when I was still living in Slovenia, I had an amazing dog sitter. So I was traveling all the time, going to conferences, speaking, and even just traveling just for the fun of it. But now that's a little bit limited. But in the meantime, I did find a very nice lady friend, a new girlfriend. And now I'm training her how to take care of 4 doggies. So once she's up and running, I will be able to hop on a plane and visit a few more countries, and probably speak at a few more conferences. So that's one thing. But otherwise, business-wise, a lot of things have changed, because I think when we last had the interview, I was still resting from my last company. You probably remember that I scaled that company from 0 to multiple 8 figures in monthly revenue in just 9.5 months, and then to multiple 9 figures next year. And that was the most insane thing I ever did in my life. I mean, the emotional, physical challenges that you're facing when you're doing something like that, I think I was still resting, to be honest. And I have big why, I have big vision, what I want to do, connected with failure. I want to really develop that project of mine, Failures Anonymous, to have a non-for-profit organization all around the world, small groups of people talking, sharing about failure. And of course, that needs money. I don't want to depend on anybody to, finance or even countries or governments. I mean, that would be the worst thing that could happen to me. I want to do it all by myself. And so, it was time for me to start scaling again. So yeah, last year I was working really hard on laying down foundation for my new online program, where I really teach new entrepreneurs or early stage entrepreneurs how to lay down all the foundations the way they should be laid out, so that you can create a sustainable and long-term profitable business. And we were beta testing with about 50 people. Quite a few of them got really amazing results from it. And yeah, in a few weeks' time, we will start with our marketing activities, and we'll see how that goes. We will be doing a lot of testing and trying in the beginning, but eventually, I'm sure we will figure out the proper way, and then it's scaling ahead of me. So getting ready to scale again.
So this is a online program, of course,
yes.
Right? And you're going to be teaching people how to scale their businesses, or how to overcome the fears, or a combination of all of those?
It's a little bit of like, when I look at business, I look at it from that there are 5 very important pillars when it comes to foundation. So the first pillar is definitely you, the entrepreneur. You need to have certain mindsets. You need to have certain soft skills, hard skills, and none of us was born with everything from start. So, we all need to learn something. We all deal with certain inner demons. For somebody, it might be procrastination. Another person might have fear of failure. A third person might have imposter syndrome. Maybe we have several of those inner demons. And the first thing is we need to deal with those. We need to achieve the level of having all the right soft skills and hard skills and mindsets and so on, before we can really achieve something as an entrepreneur. Now, next thing is really laying down the blueprint. I don't believe that you can just buy a blueprint. You need to create your own blueprint, or as I call it, business development plan. So I walk people through, I basically handhold them through all the steps in the business development. The first one and the most important one is product market fit, because if you search online, you will see that all statistics show that number one reason why most companies fail and go bankrupt is because they don't have a proven and validated product market fit. So that's very essential. Then, of course, we go forward with all the other steps. At the end, we validate the whole business development. And then, as the cash flow is coming in, we need to create a team. We need to start, laying all other foundations, because I don't want to teach people how to become solopreneurs. I don't want to teach them how to, work 16 hours a day, hustle, grind 24/7. No, for all of us entrepreneurs, what's important is to have freedom. And I see that the easiest one is the freedom of money. Of course, if you don't have money, it might seem like the hardest one, but in reality, it's not. A much harder one is the freedom of time, because we often get ourselves in a situation where we are trapped by our own creations, and we need to learn how to let go. And the only way to let go is if we put a system in place that we trust. And we can either do that in the beginning and start with that mindset. I want to be a business owner. I want to be on top of my business, not in my business, as soon as possible, and have the freedom of choice, which is for me the ultimate freedom, where you decide what you want to do. I choose to do this. I don't have to, but I choose to. And it's such a huge difference. To get to that point, we need to lay down a solid system. And the earlier you start, the better. I work still with one-on-one a little bit with a few bigger companies who have, 30, 50, 100 employees. And when we start implementing these new systems, it's hard. It takes a lot of time because, people are used to a certain way of working. You can't just fire everybody and bring in new people. So it takes a whole lot of time to do this transition where you are, really running the business and not the business running here. So the earlier you start, preferably when you're starting it, you already start with all the right mindset and all the right foundations in place. It's then much easier because you just build on top of that as you grow. And that's what I'm doing.
Nice, nice. That sounds very interesting. So I want to learn more because that is very interesting to me. You did touch on something that I agree 100%, and it's about the product and how most people fail because the product doesn't fit in the market or doesn't have demand. And for example, I deal with physical products and I create physical products. And one of the first things we do is before we even know what the product is, we find the demand first, right? Of course, in your case, the product could be a service or something, but in physical products, we find the demand, the need for it first. Only then we go and find the product or develop the product, create it, whatever it is. So if the demand is not there, why would we be using any efforts?
You can be the inventor, but then, of course, it takes a whole lot of time and a whole lot of resources because you need to educate people. You need to create that demand. It's not a bad thing, but yeah, you need to have a whole lot of resources on your hand if you want to be an innovator in any particular product or service. So, of course, it's much easier to enter the market when the market is already aware of the problem or is actively seeking a solution, because, that will speed up your whole business development process very much. And another thing that, can speed up your business development is leverages. And most entrepreneurs aren't even aware of all the leverages that are at their disposal, and they don't know how to use them. So that's another thing that I see with entrepreneurs. And the third thing is that I think most entrepreneurs, we are that creative type, Elon Musk style, like we are full of ideas. We are always seeing solutions. We are always seeing opportunities. But when it comes down to the logical part, to systems, to those things, that's super boring to us. And we hate doing that. And because of that, of course, we don't have those systems in place. And of course, the easiest thing is if you can afford, if you have the leverage of money and you can hire a good operational manager or project manager, that will solve the problem. So you can be the crazy entrepreneur and you have somebody to handle the hard part, the boring part. But if you don't have that, and most who are starting don't have that in the beginning, then of course you need to balance yourself out. You need to balance that creative entrepreneur with, the doing the boring stuff.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that because that's, in my point of view, that's exactly what happens. Is the majority of entrepreneurs have like the shiny object syndrome. They want to, capture everything, do everything, and there's a new thing coming out. I want to be involved in that. Because it's that FOMO, the fear of missing out on new business opportunities. And yeah, a lot of entrepreneurs, and I say that because I was for the longest time in that mindset as well. I wanted to create everything and do everything. And then I would start everything. So a lot of people do that. They start something, but they still have another thing not finished. And that's when you, exactly like you said, you either need a very good team that's going to go in and finish it for you, grab it where you left it and continue from there on. Or you got to be able to focus on one task, finish that task, and then go to the next one. And that may be one of the hardest things for, I don't know if it's due to the era where we live in, or due to maybe the technology because I heard that our attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And that may be influence of electronics technology, our cell phones, laptops, being in front of a screen all day.
It's not so much, I think, the technology. It's more the infobesity of everything out there. Honestly, 30 years ago, you're from Portugal. Did you know when you were still living in Portugal? Did you know what's happening in the United States every 5 minutes? No. Did you know what's happening in Australia? No. Like, I mean, you would really need to watch the evening news, and even then you would get information with a few days of delay. Now, you go on Twitter and bam, you have all the presidents and other politicians about any country. You guys in Canada had that donut thing a few days ago with your president Justin, and like we get bombarded with more information that we ever were, and of course, now we carry with us our phone, which is our source of information. 20 years ago, those Nokias, I mean, yes, you got a call, you got a text message, but that was it. Now our phone is our main computing device, and we get information there, we learn there, we watch there, we waste time there, and like all of that. And it's, I think, this infobesity out there. 20 years ago, if you would go on whatever was then, I don't know, was it Google or maybe something else? I don't know. When internet started, if you typed a search thing, maybe a few results would pop up, if any at all. Now, whatever you search for on Google, on YouTube, on wherever you are, brings you back tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of results. And then you start reading, and everybody's trying to sell you their own version of what you should do. And I'm not saying that any of that is bad, but like at one point you need to decide, okay, I'm going to follow this technique or this strategy or this one. The worst thing that you can do is to pick what you prefer. Because if you want to create a long-term sustainable business, you will have to do a little bit of what you love and a little bit of what you hate, unless you have the money to outsource what you hate. That's another way. But unless you have that, or you are willing to take on a business partner and share profits, you will have to do a little bit of both. And then, people go and they watch videos from this person and that person and so on, but they don't follow the whole strategy. They just follow what they like, and then they go to another person and they take what they like there. It doesn't work that way. And then, of course, you are spreading yourself thin. How many people really stay with product market fit until they nail it? Most likely, probably not 99% of entrepreneurs, because it's so much more exciting to start posting and creating this and, new logos and photos and quotes and content and all of that shebang. But none of that really makes any sense until you have validated product market fit. So not just market fit that you think you have, but you actually sold to a few people at a full price. That's important. If you sold at the beta price, that doesn't mean that you have a validated product market fit, because, maybe your beta price is half off. Well, who wouldn't buy it half off? But once you raise prices to 100%, maybe nobody else will want to buy that. So until you sell at a full price, you don't really have a validated product market fit. Now, depending on how big is your potential market, if you are in consumer stuff, you will need to make quite a few sales before you can say, okay, now that's validated. If you are more in a niche thing with a high-end product or service, you can just sell a few and you can say, okay, that validates the market. So it depends a little bit on what is the overall scope of your market. But, even if you look at, this was one thing that I looked up a few months ago. When you have US presidential elections, all these TV networks, they all make polls and try to guess what the result will be. And usually they are quite close to what the end result is. And I was really interested, like US, it's 300 something million people, 200 million voters. Like, what is that percentage that they go and they poll? And I think, if I remember correctly, it's roughly around 2,500 people. So with 2,500 people answering those polls, they can predict quite correctly, plus minus 1, 2, 3%. Of course, at the end, those 2-3% can really make a difference in the end result. But if you look at it just from a perspective of, getting close to the real result. So in business, if you're 2 or 3% off, that really shouldn't matter much. Mm-hmm. So, just for the idea of how much you need to sell if your market is so and so big.
Yeah, and a very, very good point too. And just to add on to what you said about those 2-3% different points, is a business is not going to end when it comes to the election. You either win it or you don't, so it ends there. I mean, right, the election part. And when it comes to business, if you didn't get those 2% this month, you still have next month and the next and the next, because you're going to be here for a long time, for hopefully forever. But we all know not all businesses or no business lasts forever, but they can last a long time for sure. And about that, how everything is so busy and new things. And when it comes to advertising, for example, after you do decide that your product is a good fit and there's a huge demand, and you get into now marketing your product, there's so much noise out there. And like you said, every single search term on Google has 10 million results. So to go above that, are we supposed to make more noise than everybody else and have more flashy, and then it just escalates from there? Or is there a way, because years ago, Miha, I did an ad, and it was a video. It was a professional video done in 2D, so two-dimensional cartoon style video ad. And there was music, and it was from music from somebody I know, and then the cartoons would do exactly what the music was saying, all that, and it was somewhat of a success. A few years later, that video was completely outdated when Shrek came out with 3D cartoons that were so amazing. And, now, of course, that's up steps higher and higher. And today, because it is so normal to see crazy things, a 2D or even a 3-dimensional ad of cartoons does not do it anymore. It has to be special things out of the perfect timing. So how do we like go one step above the noise? Do we have to make more noise or less? By noise,
well,
know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing is, of course, depends what your product or your service is, So, I mean, if you are selling a luxury car for millions, you need to do certain shebang around it, because it kind of, like your competition are the Bugattis and the Lamborghinis and so on. So, like one thing is, of course, you need to a little bit understand your own industry and, where you are in that industry. Now, I think that more important than all of this is really having a deep understanding of who your audience is, who your buyer is. And I know that e-commerce guys usually do most of the research is data driven, and that's okay. Data can give you a lot of information. I like to combine a little bit of data driven and human driven. When I say human driven, is actually having conversations with people, deep conversations, so not just making surveys or something like that. But yes, it takes a whole lot of time. Yes, it is a big investment. But the way I understand the market is there is this perceived value ladder that we all have, and it's based on who we are, what we stand for, what are our values, how we will look at certain things. Let's take a simple thing. So I have a printer here, and I have paper in it, and let's say the paper is out. I really don't give a damn. I mean, most of the time I just print black and white, some Word documents that I can sketch on. So I'll just go to the first store, grab the first piece of paper, and I'll go home. So there's no loyalty for me, no nothing. It's logical problem, logical solution. I'll just grab the one that has the lowest price tag, because I really don't care. Well, a friend of mine, he's a professional photographer, making photos and then printing that out and so on. For him, paper is the essence of his creativity, because that's how people can actually see what he created. So he put so much love and devotion into that piece of paper. And so what I'm trying to say is we look at things differently because we have our own filters, how something is valuable to us or not valuable to us. And in my mind, it looks like if I'm solving a logical problem with logical solution, that's consumer grade, so something where price can play a big role, and I just go and buy cheapest or close to cheapest, and that's it. The second ladder is a logical problem, but emotional solution, giving people emotional solution, which will already be in a higher bracket, and we will value it more. We will be more loyal. We will be more dedicated to maybe even go to a few shops to find that particular item. Now, I don't believe that we can solve an emotional problem with logical solution. That rarely works. And then the highest on that ladder is emotional problem, emotional solution. Now, no amount of data will give you that emotion side. You need to talk with people. And even when you talk with them, every coach out there will tell you, I want more clients. But what does that really mean? Why? Oh, I want more clients because I want to have more time with my family. But if those clients are one-on-one clients, then, you're not going to achieve that. So you need clients for, your programs where you can leverage your time. But the real emotion is maybe my dedication to my family and to spend time with my family. So that's the emotion that I'm looking for. So if you come and market to me and say, hey, Miha, do you want more clients? That is giving me a logical solution. Yes, of course, everybody needs more clients. But if you say, Miha, do you want me to show you a system where you will be able to maintain how much you make or even increase that? But then on the other hand, you'll have much more time that you can spend with your family, traveling, really enjoying that family time while your kids are still young. Would that be interesting to you? Now you've touched my emotions. Mm-hmm. And, I will be willing to pay more, be more loyal, and all of that, if you touch my emotions. So that's why for me, marketing is all about really deep diving into who your audience is, really understanding them. And when you really understand them, you know where they are, you know what they're searching for, you know what message resonates with them, and so on. And I believe that, if you put the right message in front of me, you don't have to be flashy. Unless your ideal client is somebody who just goes for the flash and, that's what they want. Then, of course, then you need to be that. But otherwise, I think you need to get the right message across. Of course, your marketing campaign still must not suck to the point where it's unviewable. But, you don't have to dazzle me with, studio Hollywood style ad. If you get the right message across to me.
Yeah. So what do you do if somebody is in love with an idea? And it's always good if you love an idea, you're very passionate about it, and you're gonna be more into it. So you overcome bigger steps in order to achieve that love of yours, your dream of yours. But sometimes, because somebody is passionate about something, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world is.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's things out there that, I love to see somebody that has a huge passion about something. But if it doesn't sell, should that person still pursue that idea and, just have a little niche? Or should we just tell them directly, listen, I love your passion, but as a business, this is not going to fly?
Well, I don't think there's a black and white answer because, what is your goal? If you would just want to make a solid 6-figure income, maybe you can do something like that and have a very small niche and you're happy with it. Of course, if you want to be a billionaire, then it won't work. There's not enough product market fit. product market fit is also about market saturation that you can achieve. So obviously, if you're in a very, very specific niche, plus it's not a niche, it's not, like, I don't know, medical industry where you created a medicine that can sell for tens of millions. If you have something like that, then maybe all you have to do is half a sale a year, and you're a millionaire every year. And the second thing is, you should start with something that you're passionate about, because it will be easier to overcome your struggles and fears. The thing is, when you are creating product market fit, that's not a linear process. So product market fit is a triangulation of three things: an audience that obviously has some interest or some need, a product or a service, and a business model. So those are the three things, but you never go like step one, step two, step three. It's a little bit of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And when you're doing that back and forth, you are polishing, pivoting, and so on. Now, sometimes it can happen that you have to pivot too much, and that direction is no longer aligned with what you're passionate about. Then, yes, absolutely. Unfortunately, you don't have a product market fit to go with. Most often, you can find a pivot that you're still okay with, or you're still actually passionate about, or maybe you even find something you're more passionate about. But yeah, sometimes you just can't find the right product market fit. Maybe you have an audience, perfect. You have a product that they want, perfect, but the price is just so much out of their budget. That often happens with some innovations. Yes, you can have an audience. Yes, you can have a product, but maybe because it's so innovative and because of the materials that you have to use, the price is so high that it's just unreachable to people, or to enough people, so that you can justify production and you can justify going forward with that idea. So not everything can be turned into business straight away, but with a little bit of back and forth, polishing up a little bit, doing the research, doing the due diligence, and so on, most often things can be turned into something that will work when it comes to the product market fit. And of course, understanding your own wants and needs and goals as well. Not everybody wants to be that crazy billionaire. Not everybody wants to, do crazy stuff. For majority of people who say they are entrepreneurs, they are quite okay with making a few $100,000 per year, and they're quite happy with that, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be if other entrepreneurs want to go to 7 and 8 and 9 and 10 and 12 figures and so on, that you have to be the same. You need to listen to yourself, what's right for you. And, sometimes maybe you can take one business to a certain level, but then when you come to that level, you can turn it into a passive stream because you have a system in place. And then you can, maybe there's something else you're passionate about, and you can work on another project and on another project. And then you add a few projects and combine them, and you come to a bigger number. But it's not all about numbers. You need to figure out what feels right for you. And some people are just okay to make multiple six figures a year, and that's okay and perfect. Why not?
Yeah, exactly. It all depends on why you're in the business. If you're in the business to make the money, there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody loves money and needs money. Not everybody loves it, but everybody needs it. And so if you're in the business for the money, I heard some people say that that's the wrong mindset. And of course, morally, it's nice to say that you're in it just to help others and all that, but there has to be money involved, or else there is no need for the business. It just becomes something else, not a business. So all businesses that are businesses should be profitable. Right now, if the intention is to really have a business to help others, like a non-for-profit or a charity organization, that's different. But if it is a business, it's very important that people know their numbers, to know that they're making profit. So, because there's no profit, the business will end. And
no, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. And I'm not against money. I mean, for me, it depends what you do with it, But, I mean, if you are, just dreaming of, crazy cars and mansions and so on, and if that fuels you, I mean, I might not agree with you because I'm not that kind of person, that would be driven by those things. But if you are, I mean, who am I to judge? I mean, my freedom of choice is to live in Eastern Europe and to race around the streets and catch stray dogs and cats. And, I mean, that's not something that you would normally hear an entrepreneur say that that's their freedom. But for me, like, I can't imagine doing anything else. So, we have, like, I'm not judging somebody who goes for the Lambos and Ferraris. And so I just want others not to judge me that I do what I do. I mean, that's why I call it the freedom of choice. We all want freedom. Now, the choices we make are much different. And some will use money for the better. Some will use it just for themselves. Some will also use it for evil. I hope, we can change those mindsets. But, that's the human reality is, and again, who am I to, judge what's good and what's not?
Exactly. So how about the 50 people you had on your beta testing? You said, where do you get 50 people? Do you offer them to enter to test for you, since uh, they get the product or the service, and at the same time you get the feedback? So is it reciprocal, or how do you get the 50 people to test your service?
I mean, I was working for many years on creating a very solid network,
Mm-hmm.
solid audience that I really had connection with. I mean, I don't have many people in my audience, like, some people have crazy numbers, but, I jumped on one call with almost everybody in my network. I know, like, you can go through my Facebook friends and just point people at randomly, and I can tell you what they're doing and things like that. So, I really go for quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you have a quality network, you can easily get people to sign up for things like that. And, yes, they got quite a lot of extra attention from me. And, of course, I was polishing the whole thing alongside with them. I would go back and redo lessons and add more lessons. And, oh, this is what they're asking. That's what they're asking. I would jump on more one-on-one calls than, it would be necessary, or what, would be the right thing for me if I want that to be leveraged. But it all enabled me to really polish my product, give them the right value. And so, yeah, it was a little bit of, we all gave something to each other. And yeah, then you learn from them, you survey them, you talk with them, they tell you what they're missing, what's better, what's not good. And then you can, go back and learn and grow from that and do things even better. So yeah, it was quite a journey. It took me a whole year of beta testing, but I really wanted to do it. I'm not in a hurry. It's not, oh, I need to start making money tomorrow. I mean, I'm living a good life anyway without that. So I really wanted to do things in the right way and following my own expectations and my own values. I want everybody who joins my program to have that Michelin 3-star restaurant feeling, that you really are taken care of, that you are handheld through the whole process, that you are not just a number, that somebody really cares about you, your success, is there to support you, to hold you accountable, and so on. And some of those things are not that easy to scale. And so it took me a lot of time and a lot of preparation, to really lay down all the foundation, so that even if we start getting, 50 new people in each month, I can still maintain the same high quality that I'm expecting from this.
Very good. I really like that. And where can people find you, and when will the membership or the access to the program when will that open?
Well, I mean, the easiest way to find me is just go to Google, type Fail Coach, and bam, that's me. So that's the easiest. But so one thing that I'm doing now is this actually started in December. I started a free group on Facebook. It's called The Leverage of Trust, and it's a technique that many entrepreneurs are forgetting, and it's to reach out where we already have trust, because it takes time and money and resources to get people from know to like to trust. And so it's a technique that can greatly help you speed up your business development in whichever phase of or stage you are. A big focus is on how to, like, one struggle that was really apparent was that people struggle with how to reach out to people online, how to really connect and really make relationships, how to not be that spammer and, sending bot messages and things like that. So a lot we do on that. And so they can join that group. They can learn this, see how it feels. And from there, it's in there, everything about how they can move along, and if they want to experience some of my other offerings.
And as you said, to go to Google and type in Fail Coach, I did just that. And the entire first page of Google, you show up when it comes to Fail Coach.
I think it's entire 8 or 9 pages, and then it ends there or something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's nobody else who calls himself or herself the Fail Coach. So most of that is my stuff, and then they can choose whichever social media network they prefer. I try to give a lot of value on each of them, and but the best way is to join the Leverage of Trust and a Facebook group. And a lot of people, since we started, people leveraged that technique and already made combined, I think, like 70,000 US dollars in I don't know, roughly a month.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very simple technique, something everybody can do, something that a lot of entrepreneurs are forgetting. There's so much focused on how do I get new leads in, new leads, but we are forgetting where we already have trust built. And it's one of the easiest and the best leverages that we can use to speed up the process.
Awesome. And so everybody listening, I'll have links on the show notes so you can find Miha directly, or you can go back and re-listen to this part, and then you'll know where to find them. Miha, thank you so much. We're going to stay in touch. We will keep talking offline. And everybody, thank you so much for listening. Remember to leave me a review whenever you can, and we appreciate you. Thank you, Miha.
Well, thank you, Quinn. It was a pleasure to be here again with you. I'm really honored that I'm the first comeback. So thank you for that opportunity.
Yeah, that's it. The first one ever. So
thank you.
See ya.